After spending 7 years living in my RV, traveling on the road full-time, part-time, and even stationary, I've found that there are a few items that are must-have products for a comfortable and convenient RV lifestyle. Coming in at number 3, one of these turd totes, as I like to call it. The most useful time that these come in handy is when you're predominantly traveling. Oftentimes RV parks will have different spots set up in their campground with different amenities, and sometimes they'll have sites that don't have dumps right at the site, and those can be a little bit cheaper, which is really nice. And then there's other times at different parks, specifically state parks and national parks, where they won't have any sites with any dump sewage amenities at the campsites. So that is when one of these comes in handy. So if you're staying for more than a few days, or if you've got a lot of people in your RV, if you're staying for more than just like 1 or 2 days, your tanks are going to fill up really quickly. And if you're an RVer like me, you know that when it comes time to dump your tanks, it's the biggest pain in the tush, because you have to take everything off your counters, bring your awnings in, put everything away, pack up or stow somehow your patio items, and then the worst task is unleveling. Once you've put all that time into leveling, then you're unleveling, you're getting off your leveling blocks, and then you have to head to the dump. And then, 20 minutes later, you're back at your site and undoing everything you just did. So that's when one of these comes in handy. It's a mobile dump, so there's no need to do anything with your RV. You leave that all set up. You don't have to rearrange your patio. You just take this alone to the dump site, to the dump station, and everything stays put at your campsite. Now, let's talk off record for a moment. There is something that some RVers do that actually used to be widely accepted and sort of general practice, especially at state parks or definitely in national forests, and that was disposing of your gray tank water. Gray tank, that means hand washing, showers, dishes, that water. That used to be allowed to be dumped onto the ground, like if you're in a national forest or whatever. Now, you should never, and it was never allowed to dump black tank water anywhere. You should always take that to a dump station. But it did used to be pretty widely accepted to just let your gray tank water go out, pending regulations and what was allowed at the campground. So there is something that some RVers do, and some people call it the Dan method. Dan who, you might wonder? No, this means DAN. It stands for dump at night. Some RVers, not naming any names, some RVers will use the Dan method to dump their gray tank, because that is the tank that fills up the fastest. Please never do that with your black tank. But the gray tank is, again, it's shower water and stuff. So some people will do that at night. Okay, now getting off of our product number 3 must-have, which is one of these turd totes, I want to bring to your attention another cool product that maybe can assist in the dump at night method. And that is a tank cap that has an extension built into it for your regular garden hose size. So why would that be made? Well, it's so you can plug a regular garden hose in, run that garden hose under your RV surreptitiously all the way out the back into the bushes, and your shower water, your hand washing, that can be live fed down into the bushes or out into the forest. So that is a method that some use, and it is useful because, like, if you've got kids or you've got people coming over to your RV for the weekend, your gray tank is just going to fill up so quickly. So then you can use one of these type of products to just focus on your black tank, which doesn't fill up as quickly. Now, a product like this definitely is on my top 3 must-haves for RV living. However, it comes with a caveat. It comes with a big, big warning. Your RV tank is probably bigger than this tank. So never, ever, ever walk away when you are filling this up. That's warning number 1. And here's warning number 2. Now I want to make a disclaimer that I've only had the Thetford Smart Tote 2. You can see here the brand. So I don't know if they're all like this, but you will find that the inlet and the outlet, it's the same hose, right? So this hose hooks to your RV. Now when you're emptying, this is great because this is at the bottom and then all the stuff can come out. However, to be honest, it's not enough at the bottom that all the stuff ever comes out. You have to like lift it. But that is not the warning. The warning is, unless this entire unit is on a decline going away from your RV, you can never fill it up. Why? Because usually this is outstretched and this holds quite a bit of volume of stuff coming from your tank that you don't want to ever have to see on the outside of this hose. So a couple things here. When you're dumping into it, you might get fluid and other undesirables up to here and still have, space inside. But that hose is below, so when you pull this away from your RV, one, all of this needs to get in there, and it doesn't unless you are lifting this whole thing up or it's on a decline. And two, you need to make sure that the amount of stuff that you have in here and in your pipe on your RV is going to have enough space to go in here. So they have this is such a silly design flaw. They have this thing that they're like, oh, it's a smart tote. We'll put a little sensor and this thing pops up like a little flag. It just pops up when it's full. Well, you should never get it to be that full because you'll never get all of your stuff in here. So ask me how I know. By the way, you guys, always wear gloves when you're dealing with this. I can't believe how many RVers I see at the dump station that are like, using their bare hands, and then they go in and they drive for hours and use gloves, disposable ones, non-disposable. Just, don't be that gross RVer that you're watching. It's never going to be and nothing's ever fully dry when it comes to dumping your tanks. So the other thing that goes with this second warning, in fact, it might even be a third warning. Now, it wasn't the case with my first RV, my 1992 Fleetwood Bounder. That was not the case. With my second RV, which was a fifth wheel, it was the case. And what I'm talking about is where the tanks are positioned, like on my fifth wheel. It was so far into the middle of the bottom of the RV that it had to bring out, some piping to where I could connect a dump hose to. In the fifth wheel, where the gate was positioned was farther back. So there was a significant amount of hose or piping that came from the gate to where I would connect this to or any other sewage hose. So when you're calculating how much you can fill this up, you need to keep that in mind, is you might have a significant volume that needs to be added in here. Otherwise, you are going to get it all over you. It'll be like the grossest day of your life. And if you pull that off, and even if you lift it up really quick so it doesn't, come shooting out, you're still going to have a bunch come out from your RV. So it is a messy affair. However, it is still, if you can fine-tune that, it is still more beneficial to use one of these than to pack up your whole RV and take it to the dump. And coming in at number 2 is a dehumidifier. My first RV was a 1992 Fleetwood Bounder. It had no frills and no slides. It had the single pane windows. It was really old school. And my second one was a 2014, and it was decked out with much better insulation and the totally worthwhile double pane windows. Regardless though, RVs are not houses, and when it is hot outside and then it's cool inside, or vice versa, when it is cold outside and then warmer inside, condensation is very likely, particularly on the windows. And this is going to be the case whether you're traveling or whether you're stationary. Now, unless you are living in the Southwest, it's going to be a totally different scenario. So like if you're anywhere from Eastern California out to West Texas and then up to, southern parts of Colorado, you probably don't need this. In fact, you're probably using a humidifier because it's so dang dry. But everywhere else, I totally recommend a dehumidifier. So you can get so much condensation on the windows that it'll be running down, the condensation will be running down the inside of your RV windows, even double pane windows will even get this. And it will be so much condensation running down, it's almost like there's a rainstorm happening inside your RV. So I was parked on the lake in Crystal Springs, so it was very humid climate there anyway, but then I was on the lake, so it was like extra humid. And that's actually when I got a dehumidifier. I was collecting over a gallon of water a day from the air. So imagine all that. Imagine taking a gallon of water and then like throwing it all over your RV and then just leaving it. Not a good thing to have. It creates an entirely new ecosystem that invites mold and creepy crawlers. Definitely not worthwhile. So get a dehumidifier, whether you're traveling or whether you're stationary. Definitely, it's great health maintenance for your RV in general. And coming in at number 1 in must-have RV living items is a good time. RVs are way too small to be arguing with your family or yelling at your partner while you're out camping. Not only that, but if there's anybody in the campground and they're sitting outside on their patio and you're inside your RV, it's very likely that they can hear you arguing. And furthermore, your immediate neighbors, even if they're inside, they can hear you yelling at your kids while you're both inside your RVs. What can help with a good time? A campfire, and definitely some tasty treats to go along with it. However, always depending on the issuing authority and what they say, not yourself. You don't want to be the Doomba that sets half of California ablaze or that changes the facade of a national park for 2 decades. So be careful. Camping is for relaxation and rejuvenation, so let it go and have a good time. Good luck out there. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos, and if you can, it really supports the channel if you share, like, or comment. I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.